recording another video. I might record this one, or I recorded one just now. I'm gonna keep playing, so whatever one's the better of the two, I feel like it's more interesting, and I play a little bit better, to be honest. I'm gonna upload. Sure, you could actually build a bluffing range, but we haven't bet once in this entire hand, so I think we probably want better blockers than diamonds. Here, I think we have nothing else to do besides call this bet, and here I think we're just gonna mainly just call. The 3 is a better card for us, so we could build a small leading range, but I'm not going to. Gonna check again here. Good block bet and play some other stuff. Here I think we're gonna check again. I think the only thing to get value from on the river is like probably 10x, maybe 7x, but mainly bluffs. Or 10x like that. Here we flop trips. Okay, this table broke. And I don't play heads up. If I wasn't recording, I would probably play heads up. If I'm being honest, but I think here with the weaker 7x, we can start to check. I think our opponent might get a little crazy. I think we're just gonna call here with the 9 of spades. And maybe try to induce something here. If we had a stronger 9, we would obviously go for it. And here I don't think we raise. Yeah. Check and made us a lot of money there. And obviously I should keep playing versus the opponent I'm playing versus there, but oh, didn't mean to do that. My Gerogen trial expired for my overlay. So right now we have 3-2-5 going. I don't know if I play better while recording. I think I play a little bit worse. Not for the sake. I think in my head I'm playing better. I think I put more pressure on myself to stick to my strategy. Whereas I think sometimes my deviations are what creates my win rate as high as it is. Subtle flex. But yeah. But I don't mind it. I told myself this week I'm just going to focus on improvement. And over the next 3 months mainly. We might see a style of play change in these videos over the course of it. For right now, sticking to stuff. Here I think you can bet 3. I think on a 97 we'll bet a third. Wait, did I flatten the big blind? I thought I was the small blind. Did someone have dead cards or am I getting juked? Right, well anyway, we're gonna check now. I thought I was in the small. Oh my god. What a disaster. Obviously never building a leading range here. Just gonna snap check because I don't know what's going on now. I really thought I was in the small. Just gonna fold. Wow. Wow, I was in the big and I just led that board. Can't be too bad. 7-6 never opening. This is supposed to be a tougher table, but actually I don't think these opponents are too solid. I think Canada's pretty good though. I don't know, I haven't played enough for some 94 hands, but I always see him sitting out NL2K, which I've learned does not mean anything, but people don't sit him, I guess, so he must be pretty decent. Now 6 is here on a 69, I think we'll call. All 3 clubs, I don't think we build any leads, but I think our hand... I think our hand just has to be a check here. There's just no point of betting and inflating this pot with this hand. I do expect a lot of his checkbacks to contain a club. And I think we just have to check again here. I don't know how often our opponent is going to be stabbing the river. But I think this hand just makes more money off of expecting like tens of the club or something, or stuff like that. I think our hand makes more money for stuff like this. I think his play is okay. Lost pocket sevens with the club. Which, actually, wait, no, there's a 7 on the board, right? Or no, there's not. Okay, yeah, which is the type of hand I have. Here, never flatting out of position. In position, you can consider it. And I think we're just going to go straight to 20 here. Deeper, I think we can size up actually to 22.5, because we are a little deeper. So, we'll go to 22.5. That seems like a solid sizing. I think the 4 bets there are a little unintuitive. We have to think about them for a sec. I can think of them very fast, but I think just with aces, I think I should take a little bit more time, just because other people might not find the bluff so fast. Gonna call the 5-3 here. It's like the inverse. Like, I find for some reason, just when I snap shove ace king all in, for some reason, maybe it's completely anecdotal, but it just feels like it gets more folds. I think on this turn you can play a slight leading range, but versus opponent, I'm just going to call him down. It's a funny spot because it's really unintuitive to find bluffs. So for some players, they just never have them here. Oh. Well, now we just never win. I guess we just always lose. That sucks. We have 5 high. We can only chop. Dude, these runouts are crazy. Nice hand. And he has a huge ace high advantage here. So, again, actually, I don't know if that's true. Because he's not supposed to bluff ace high, but I think we're still supposed to bluff catch it. So I think the ace high actually, we might even have an ace high advantage. In practice, he probably does, because he's probably bluffing ace high like he's not supposed to. Like a hand like ace jack. On a 79, I don't mind 3-betting this guy. Who's isolating a fish limp. But to be fair, this guy is pretty tight, and even an ISO for him might be tight. Wow, if there is a give up, it's this. But I just simplified a half pot range on this spot. So the fact that this hand has like probably the worst qualities doesn't make a difference to me. But yeah, I think now with an under to the 9, I think we just have a check here. There's merit to folding out the better king X, but I think that's more applicable to a hand like king 10 that can still hit a 10. But we're just gonna check. And I think on the jack we could turn our hand into a bluff. I think the fact that we unblock the ace and deuce X of spades that float, I am gonna bluff this hand actually. There's just I just think that we have to bet most of our 0% equity on the river. And I think we hit some jack X here. Will this guy fold? I don't know. This guy's kind of been owning me recently, so. Oh, nice. And here I'm just gonna call. Versus a perceived fish. Yeah. Here, the thing is, like, king 8, like, they're having the direct under to the 9. Wow. I mean, the direct X is probably a little better, to be honest. But, the under to the 9 with no backdoor is just very, very poor hand. We block a lot of our opponent's folding range here. Let's say he has a hand like 8-7 of diamonds, ace 8 of diamonds, pure folds, king jack of diamonds, king, like basically all of it has to fold. So I think this hand probably checks, but in practice I'm just playing pure half pot range in this type of spot where my range is just very, very strong because it's a limp call, like limp ISO raise, so it's even stronger than a button versus cutoff 3-bet spot. In practice I rolled a high number with king 8, so maybe that's not true, but it should be. So I'd rather just simplify to one half pot range. But because you do, if you're gonna play give ups, it would be incorrect to not have some checks that are strong. Because this hand isn't a pure airball give up. Like he's gonna have a lot of hands that still don't beat king high, or he just gonna have a lot of hands that don't beat an 8 that want to deny an equity from those hands. And let's say the turn's a king or it turns an 8, just being capped. I mean, obviously on a king I'm not capped anymore, but turns an 8, you don't want to be so capped. Anyway. I think here we can just bet big. I think it's good to inflate the pot versus a recreational. When we can cooler a 9 on a jack, we can hit the counterfeit nuts. Ask Fedor. It's just so funny. I'm actually 12, must be a heads up player. I don't know why he doesn't 3-bet in full ring then, because heads up you're supposed to 3-bet 20% of your hands. Nothing to be said here. Just 3-betting this hand pure. I should have taken my time. Normally I'm good about my timing tells pretty, but to be fair, like instantly 3-betting this position isn't that obvious. It's not like if I have queen jack suited, I'm just looking at it and I'm clicking it. If I have ace jack off, I'm clicking it. Now here you're playing both. 4-bet on a 1, I think we just call. I don't think you ever fold. Could be wrong, but I don't think we ever fold. I'm gonna check evaluate here. I think I haven't been 4-betting it. I don't know what it is. I feel like I haven't been 4-bet bluffing too much on video. From these spots, we're just gonna make it 20. Actually, at this depth, we'll make it like 23. Snap call is telling. Here I'm just gonna check again. I tanked for like 20 years. Oh, by the way, this hand 3-bet bluffs at a very high frequency. I'm just gonna fold now. I think our hand was an okay stab. Here, I think we just bet 20%. So I'm just gonna put 9.5. Like he has a lot of hands that just have to snap muck on these mono boards. I think we just bet small again. I think that's the correct strategy. And if he shoves, I might just have to side call. I might just have the equity to call off. But yeah, I think 1/3 makes a lot of sense here. 1/3 and half pot. We end up rivering the nuts. Now, I don't know what performs better, shove or check. The question is if we check, how often is our opponent going to bluff us? I think versus an unknown fish, I'm going to go for the shove. Hopefully it's in a pocket tens. Just like, I feel like sometimes he's calling down there and he has to have a club in his hand and he's going to call his club. Why isn't my scroll wheel working? 3-betting just at 13.5 here. I don't know. It's kind of annoying because when I record these videos, I don't have enough time bank, but these spots do get really intricate. Like you definitely need to check a lot on these rivers. You get called, hopefully he squeezes. Everyone calls and we flop the giganuts. I think this hand just has to check back. I don't see. I actually think maybe, no, I like checking. There's 2 snap checks like this, just hard to get paid. I think it's like good to just check and hope they have a pair that trips up. We bet 1/3 on this board. I think versus opponent, I think we have an easy big bet again. I think just building the pot versus fish with the nuts, nut draw is good. Here on a 30, I still think it gets in here. Pure almost. I think like a very low number I might consider it, but from those positions, they're being near pure. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this one hand. I don't know what's going on with my leaderboard. Like, I'm sunning. Let's see if there's another 500 running. No. Just because maybe with the king of clubs, we block hands like him having ace king. But we had the ace of clubs, it makes no sense. Here I think mostly calling. Actually, I think mostly folding. I don't know why people leave the table when there's a clear fish at the table. Like, just because regs are there. It doesn't make any sense to me. I almost feel like typing telling him to join the other table. But I don't think Canada will leave. I think he's like me. So I don't care to. Here I'm gonna be 3-betting pure, I think. The a7 suited from these positions. I think I'll size up to 8 at this step. First, this guy's check back range, I don't mind just stabbing super wide. And then bluffing again on a diamond. And now I'm just gonna give up. I know it's a limp pot and we're like giga overdoing it, and I actually have to be very, very passive because I have literally, my range is worse than the average starting range. Like you can start with a hand, but some of those hands will raise a limp. So my hand's worse than that on average, but. I don't think 7-9's ever getting in here. Who knows, maybe I'll upload 3 videos today. I'll upload all 3. Be funny, just doing an insane amount of videos. It's not they're not hard to put. I think here our ISO size is just 5. So we'll just do it. 7-9 here on a fishy table, just gonna open pure. When he sizes us down, I don't think we're supposed to fold this type of hand in position. Normally we'd be folding it pure, but versus the smaller size. He's supposed to go to like 12 and he went to 8, so we have to call a lot more. But obviously this is just a muck now. He just knew what the board was gonna come. Here I think betting 1/3 to get him out. On a 93, I think we'll bet 1/3. I think we can actually play at a lot of sizings. I wouldn't be surprised if our hand actually sizes up. I'll play big bet. Since we rolled a high number, I think ace king actually can bet big. Now here with no spade, I think we're leaning check, but on this number, because it's very big over better check, and I think we're gonna go for the check here. Wow, we hit it. I think versus big bet he has not too much spade X. The queen isn't a spade, which is important to know. And here we have like a clear ace king advantage, so I'm gonna go for the 150, or that's not even 150. It's about it. I don't know. We're gonna have to look at this one. And I'm just gonna call this guy on the river here. Nice. I don't know why he's turning a queen into a bluff. Yeah, I think here it's just I kind of am regretting not overbetting the turn because we hit. But I don't know, without a spade, I think not having a diamond's okay. I mean, having a heart is pretty decent, but I think it's not as relevant than if it was in a 3-bet pot. Like the king of hearts is probably not too relevant. In particular. I'm gonna call it tonight. Now he sees at a high frequency and having an under to the 10, I think we want to raise a good amount. Because the turn card is not going to be as good for us as it usually would be. Like here, like you benefit a lot from folding those overs, whereas if you have an over, you don't benefit as much from it. Uh, he opens so wide, I think we just have to call, unfortunately. Oh my god, that's just so sad. Never mind. Wow. He obviously is never supposed to do that with his hand, but... Do we just call in the small blind? I think it's okay versus this player, he's a fish. Hopefully this guy rebuys. So we will sit here and play a little heads up. I'm gonna mainly check on this board on a 2, I think. Having 1 under the 10 is not as good. And having showdown, like those things combined. Now when you pick up the ace of clubs, I think there is a benefit to being more aggressive. Naturally, I think the spot's overfolded, and we have some extra properties to make it overfolded and barrel on certain rivers. All suited hands open, I think, in hands on. I always end up playing hands up in these videos. I don't mind betting this end. That's the extent of my heads up analysis. Yeah, gotta bet a lot. This one seems okay. I think we just check now. So think about having like the direct over to the whatever seemed decent. And now on the river, the question is, do we bet or not? I mean, 9 high is pretty bad, right? I think we're gonna bet. I think 9 high just has to bluff. I think we're taking like a pocket 9's line is the idea with the 9. I think like we get to fold out some like random ass floats. Like obviously you're never expecting to fold out a queen or an 8. And obviously he's gonna make some calls like that. Here on a 55, I think we're just gonna call his hand. Gonna check again. Gonna check again up here. I'm gonna 3-bet here. Oh, the guy left, so we're gonna sit on next big. I don't expect him to bluff too much, so I'm just gonna bet myself and hope he calls wide. Alright, well. There might not be enough material to make a video about, though I do think this session has been decent. I don't really expect this spot to be bluff, but I have an ace, so less likely he does, so I'm gonna call him. Just, like, the reason why, how do I put this? An ace is so good to call here. This is like very poker 101, but not only does it unblock bluffs, because he's never gonna bluff with an ace, that's a value bet, right? Duh. B, he's more weighted to bluffs. Let's say his value bets are ace-x, and then he just bluffs. I lost my train of thought at that guy's message. Here, I think we just want to bet. I think we still want to not overbet and polarize ourselves to a jack, because that would probably be like a 175 sizing. So I think here's good. I think ace queen's still good enough to bet. I really think raising that river there makes some sense, but okay. Anyway, it just means he's less likely to have an ace, which means he's more likely to have bluffs. For example, if let's say there's some spots on the river where you can have a very absolute strong hand, but you don't block anything that he's repping. Like here, I directly blocked and he's repping, so I'm gonna call. Like let's say the guy's repping a flush and you have top set. Well, you don't really actually block. I mean, you obviously unblock bluffs because he's probably not blocking top pair. But I mean, in some notes you could. But mainly, I got him. Literally playing and talking. I'm actually like the dumbest person alive. Just gonna call here. I mean, We can't only call ace-x. Nice hand by him. Gonna call queen 4 here multi-way. And we're gonna spike our ace of spades on the turn here. I don't think we ever play this hand as a raise. I think it's just, yeah. An easy hand to call down with. Don't expect to ever for him to have too many bluffs here, but we're just gonna call again. I think folding would be ridiculous. And I think we just check again and hope he just gives up. Jack 8 of spades. The half pot here is a little weird, but I think he just has a straight, like I'm not even kidding. Obviously we unblock bluffs technically. He's not supposed to bluff anymore with like even a hand like ace 4 of spades. But it's just so hard to find bluffs in that line. It's so hard. Just unfortunate. No spade. Nothing you can do. On an 84, this hand will 3-bet. While getting cold, 4-bet. Tagging anyone without starting. Right, the cold call here, that makes this guy more likely to actually start playing a cold shove range. Holy shit, there's so much dead money, and my hand blocks none of the cold shoves. That's just unfortunate. Wow. Here we're just going to bet 20 bigs. Even though we have blocked nothing, we just have we have like a huge range advantage, not advantage on all 4 players. We actually block a lot of the 8x they could have. So I think we're just gonna bet half pot. Obviously we have no equity. But and I expect someone to have a pair. We actually kind of block the pairs they could have. Though one thing I will say is I expect some of these players to just have pocket queens in this hand. As played. He should never. He should ISO. Nice. Just easy money. 6-7. Flop nothing. Take it down. We should probably get one table of 200 going. But I don't know if I will post this. We'll see. I'll rewatch it over and see how good it was. Here this is just an incorrect 3-bet sizing. I don't know what he's doing. Like some of these guys, you just think they're so good, and like that, I just can't understand the logic behind ever going that small from the big. Like, are we just not polarizing or what? It's like day one. Jeez, Bubba Guess is up 10k, or maybe he's down in the thing. Actually, flash the amount of money I have on my GG account at the moment. It's all I have, unfortunately. My last dimes on my GG. Here, I think we play a pure 4-bet with the AKS, and I think the size is going to be 20. And we will be calling off. Side calling off. I think on the king high board, we can probably just play 25% with range. 25% should be good. I don't know if we need to go 20 here. 20 also probably performs okay, but it actually is slightly more connected. Like he's going to have slightly more gut shots and stuff like this. That can continue. Now here with the flush draw, we actually have a good candidate to check, funny enough. In practice, I don't think the SWAT is very bluffed, and I also don't think we're probably ever checking king, queen, ace, queen. We're probably just bluff catching with like worse king X. I'm going to bet a third here. I think mixing between a third and half. Oh, would have been such a beautiful river. Like, what if he just had pocket jacks? I really think, like, this might be a check. There's literally no bad river in the deck. Like, if you think about it like that, like, there actually isn't, right? There's not a single one. I mean, a queen is kind of sus. Agreed? An offsuit jack, it's kind of whatever. But it doesn't really do shit. So, that's like 6 hands, 6 cards, and those cards are not even, like, the odds we're still ahead is probably really high. So checking there might have been nice. We also block him from having a flush draw, like just like a ace queen of spades float, ace jack of spades float that we get value from on the turn. There was a hand to check. That would be that. I'm just debating if I ever check ace king. Also did roll a low number. We have 16 combos of it. It makes sense to check. Maybe this exact one, the golden one, the chosen one. Oh my god, Bubba Gas just lost a 10k pot. Can I see the hand history? Oh my god. He made it 9 bigs. And he calls? I think that's just not correct. In those positions. There's a seat open for me. It's just running around this guy? I don't know. Might upload 2 here because I have a lot of studying to do before I go to bed. It's currently 3 AM and I'm probably gonna be up till 6 studying. At least. Uploading 3 videos in a day is pretty absurd. But I don't know, I do it for fun. And right now I'm enjoying doing it. When I stop enjoying doing it, I'm just gonna stop doing it for a bit. And it's pretty decent content for someone starting out, I imagine. Given that I answer the questions and nothing I say is like completely absolute. It's just like a, how do I say it? Like I liked watching people even when they weren't the best when I was starting on playing poker because you get to learn how they think and you get to pick up different thought process from different people. You know, if you're watching the same guy, you start to just, I mean, obviously if the guy's a nutter, it's different, but most guys do have leaks in their game, and a lot of people in the content aren't questioning themselves that much. They're not out there playing the 10k NL games on stars, where you're literally only making frequency mistakes and you're never making EV mistakes. Like they're not there, so they're making EV mistakes all the time, and they learn on this like way of like this is profitable, and I explain why, and like obviously it makes some sense, but it's just it can get pretty boring because you're never gonna be exactly them. So whatever exploit or play they're making that they make, because if they have this read on this player and this whatever, and they play this way, it's like I don't know. I think I have the skills understanding how other people perceive you. That's like one of the underrated things about poker. Where people talk about exploiting. Here. I'm gonna go with the 1/3. I think we're supposed to be checking a lot on this board. And here I don't think we barrel 0 equity. I think we're just playing like literally 175, and I think all of it has to have equity. And this is not much. Obviously we had some because this river. I'm trying to debate if we bet without a heart. And I think the answer is no. Funny enough. Like, I don't know. He just has a lot of hearts that call the flop, right? like a decent amount, like maybe a shit ton. And then on the river, I don't know. Maybe I'm exploitable in the spot, but we also have a good amount of offsuit a6 with the heart. We have our flushes that check back that didn't all overbet. I don't know. We can do enough to make. I mean, maybe he has to call some king x, and then we should just in return bet all of our a6. But maybe we're overdoing it. He can just start raising very aggressively versus us because we have too much non-hard a6 in our range. Anyway, I'll probably end the video in a sec because it's probably boring watching two tables. Up like 1,000 on stars in the last 2 hours, and I am like down, I think more than that on GG if you're watching these videos back to back. I probably will post both. Why not? I don't really care. I don't know what's good for the algorithm or something. Maybe they don't like you spamming videos. Doesn't really matter. I think I actually lose a good amount if people find out my channel, so I don't mind it. If I feel like doing it, I'm gonna post. Here I think we just check range, simplify. Even versus recreational, we will check range, and I think this hand's an okay candidate to check raise bluff. Now I think here we want to reopen. I don't know if we reopen overbet. I think we could because we're checking range, and then you can just be very polar. And this hand kind of makes some sense, but I think we'll just go for the big bet to keep it simple. I think you would want some equity because you'd probably play a really big overbet. Like I'm sure this is a fine size for aces and tens. They don't need to go much bigger, so then your overbet would have to be ridiculous. I thought we hit it for a sec. Now I think we will go for the overbet. Blocking straights and stuff. I think 150 is pretty good here. We will go for the overbet with the 10 of hearts blocker. Blocking 10-7 hearts and 6 of hearts, which are a lot of checkbacks, I assume. Because he's probably calling way too much. He also has a wider range, so he's less weighted to these suited. Like to the stronger hands. That being said, he is a fish, so he might just be calling too much. So like, it just gets really redundant when you talk about stuff that doesn't necessarily matter on a river spot. I think like pre-flop and flop, and maybe turn have some merit, and obviously river too. But in that spot, saying he's more weighted to a weaker range doesn't necessarily equal he's going to call less because he's a fish. Here we actually block bluffs a good amount. You need some offsuit ace-x with the heart for the river reasons. But I think that can come from the ace-jack department. So I think all around this guy's pretty tight. So my overall strategy versus this guy is usually to overfold. And I'm going to execute it. It's really easy for him to find a bluff here. He can just pick any jack. Obviously the ace isn't the most clean card in the world, to be honest. But it's as clean as it's going to get. That being said, like a lot of the hands that already beat me, I'm not going to outriver. So just because other stuff gets there on the ace, king jack and the better two pairs, he could also already be there, and the ace gives me a redraw to beat him. So, yeah, I don't know, but I don't mind the fold. I think the hands that are bluffing versus me have a good amount of equity, so I don't mind just sticking to a spot there where I just play really strong hands versus him, and combat his strong range with stronger hands. Like maybe, like obviously on a heart river, you need to kind of have a holding that becomes a bluff, right? So if I called this hand, I'd probably have to commit to check shoving heart rivers. Almost for sure. So maybe it's a spot where you're supposed to roll. You roll your ace jack, because sometimes I'm sure you raise it with the heart, and then you roll your ace 9. I don't think you have ace 10 ever. Maybe you have some ace 10 on the flop, like very small percentage. And then maybe it's a spot where you maybe even turn ace queen into a bluff. But I doubt it. Like, if the low heart comes off, you probably just check call ace queen. Like, why are you bluffing it? Yeah, I'm just gonna bet a third here with this flush. I think you have to be careful here, because sometimes you can just be getting an in dead. First, obviously the top pair, plus flush draw. That does matter. It's important to keep track of. Like, if the ace is a heart here and it's deuce three, it's obviously gonna be folding here. All right, we'll play a couple more. We'll play one more interesting hand, and then I'll call it. Then I got a lot to review. I'll be up till like 7 a.m. I don't know. I'm just really, really motivated right now. If anyone can tell by the fact I'm posting a shit ton of videos. Just been studying like a shit ton. I feel like I've realized recently, like, if I want to get to where I'm going, I'm gonna have to put in an insane amount of work, and I'm just actually like willing to do it. Like once you start doing it, you realize. I don't know. In the past, like you want to be this good, but you'd probably rather put in volume, and like I could make a good amount of money to just play 500 NL and collect my win rate, and in a couple of months have a good amount of money to move on with my life. But I really want to be really good at this game. It's something that I'm actually like pretty passionate about. So I don't know. Maybe that's cringy to fucking say, but putting in the work. 3-5 here, I don't think's ever opening. But versus the fish, let's make an exception. They're both under 3-betting. I'm sure if I plugged what actually is happening in, it would be coming open. Just gonna bet 1/3 here at a decent frequency. With this type of hand, I think your straight draws become pretty high frequency bluffs. You need to pick some hands on mono boards that will double barrel, maybe even triple, because you need to have a hand that bluffs on a club run out. Like, that's what people don't understand. That's one concept that's very lost to most players. Is they might find it in the check lines, but in the triple barrel lines, when the club gets there on the river, it's very underbluffed. Here, I think on a 91, it's close to range, I think. And we rolled a 91. Now here, I think our hand is probably checking a lot. I think we want more equity to fire again. It's a great turn. That's a great river. And here, I think we just bet this size with all of our kings. And here, I'm trying to think what his bluffs are going to be. Like, obviously blocking 10-8 of hearts is pretty solid here. And his main trap is supposed to be, it would be king 8 of hearts. So obviously king 10 of hearts is the best. So I was trying to think of I'd call river there, judging by the blockers. It's important to just think about stuff like this. Like, what hands am I calling with here? Obviously it's sizing dependent. Like, if he clicks me, I'm like I have to pure call all my value, because he just gets my bluffs to fold. So people don't realize, like, in this spot, when you get check raised, a good amount of your folding range is bluffs, which is why check raising is actually more profitable than people think it is. Just in practice, a lot of people don't bluff, and then they overcall, and you have to put in a lot of money, so it just feels unrewarding. But yeah, especially when you're not getting 3-bet bluffed on, because your bluff's never getting bluffed. I think that's one thing that people don't realize. When your bluffs are getting bluffed, that's when they're becomes worse. But if you think a spot's over bluffed, it's also good to bluff back. Because let's say I'm reopening, I'm bluffing a shot, I'm bluffing all the ace, I'm bluffing everything on the river, let's say. That's not made, because the king is so good. Well, if he has jack 10, 10, 9, basically fucking anything, you can just rip it. And if I'm folding most of my king x2, like folding 80% of my fucking hands, when I'm supposed to be calling probably like 34% of the time, 35% of the time. If people get hero called by a hand that's supposed to call, then they just get discouraged. Because I am supposed to call some king. It's like, oh, I clearly could have an 8. Why do you call? I'm never bluffing. It's like, alright. Alright. I'll play to my big blind, and then I will call it. These games are decent, but is there another stars table running? Oh, there is. And it is pretty fishy. How long have I been playing? Only an hour and 38 minutes. I try not to play my sessions over 2 hours. So we'll play one orbit of this table at least, and then we'll call it. Oof, the shove on the river here. I think 8-5 versus the 2 fish here will become a call. And I think here we have some backdoor equity, so I think we have to call our 5. On a 6, on a 9, obviously on a 5 and an 8 we can improve, and we could be ahead. Here I'm just gonna have to fold. My hand is just too weak. I have no clean outs. And Jack 10, I'm just gonna flat here. He has King 10 off and Jack 10 off pure. On a 98, I could see it getting in here, but I think without a diamond, we don't block enough continues. So I will call here. We should be raising sometimes. And I think here, having 2 overs to the 9, and a good amount of outs versus the non-main hands, like his ace highs, I think we can bet this hand. I think 1/3 makes the most sense, to be honest. Now here, I think we play checks and bets. No shit. Don't think we bet like half pot range here. I think we actually have to be pretty passive on this board. And this hand might just be a pure give up here, I think. With just no equity. Now I think on this turn we actually reopen, now that we picked up an open ender. Obviously 10-9 got there. I don't know how often he's checking 10-9. I'm gonna call here when he sizes at this size. And here I'm just gonna reopen pretty big. We obviously have our traps. Maybe half pot's better for the type of range construction we have. And I'm going to bluff this river. We could do some shoves. But I think this size just performs very well. I think a lot of our range, like I said earlier, that bluffs, it might just be shove. But I'm just gonna bet like this. Did I call or raise? Anyway, well, yeah, whatever, we'll check here. My hand looks so much like an offsuit. Ace, like checks flop because it doesn't have a draw, then bets turn because it picks up the draw and then bets river. That's what I would think if I was playing versus me. Now here I'm debating if I raise or not. Versus the recreational, I don't know if we're getting the bluff equity, so. I'm going to go for the min click. I don't know. Here I'm just gonna check call. Hopefully he's dead. Wow, that's unfair. And here I'm just gonna bluff. Alright. Well, good thing I kept the recording going. Never mind, he's too good. Fuck. You got a stack, but you got owned. Anyway, we picked up 2 more good hands to review. We'll finish these orbits. It's gonna be like a 50-minute video, I imagine. Jeez, I got a lot to review tonight. It's already 336. I think opening 5-9 suited pure. But yeah, wow, I ended up. Or it's not over, but no. Actually, maybe clubs here are more inclined. Maybe not. Out of position, it changes things. I think that's the big difference. I think when you look at your backdoors and your non-backdoors, I think you got to pay attention to your position. Like when you're reopening, clubs sometimes can be better because you don't want to get raised and lose the equity of having another backdoor. But here, when you're going to put more money in the pot, you want the extra equity because when you check with clubs, you're going to actually have to face a bet. So it's like you're not going to get raised as much when you're in position because the in position player has less incentive to raise you, right? But that being said, we have a 9 high. Sure. I think he floats like some of these double overhands. Like obviously I'm not ever getting that to fold. But he's gonna float like Queen Jack and shit like this. Yeah. And we unblock all of that with the 9. Okay. I'm really bad at sitting out tables for some reason. Okay, and we're sitting out here and we're sitting out here. Wow. Alright. Thanks everyone for watching. If you if you watch this many videos, you're a real one. But yeah. Let me know what I could do better, to be honest, because I'm just winging it. Thank you.